Well, we made it. We made it to the end, Willie. Congratulations.
Eight
We're
weeks.
here. 8 weeks. We did it. We're here talking Mando again on this finale episode of our Mando show, which is a little bit sad, but we have some more exciting things planned. But this is chapter 16, the finale of season 2, titled The Rescue, directed by Peyton Reed, who previously directed the Frog Lady episode this season, and obviously Ant-Man and also Ant-Man and the Wasp. So he's back. Willie, what was your initial reaction to chapter 16, The Rescue, the finale? We're here.
It's a really strong episode of Mando. I think it's my second favorite this season though.
Okay.
I think ultimately it's gonna lose out to Boba Fett's introduction. And I could go either way.
Yeah.
But I do, so I think I have a lot of things I want to nitpick about this episode.
Great.
But I want to preface that with this is still the best Star Wars has been in probably like 30 years.
I completely agree. This episode, it really delivered for me. I know I was talking to some people. I've heard kind of the wide variety of. We'll obviously get to the big thing, but I've heard reactions on both sides, and even in the middle of like, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a little disappointing, and I've heard like, obviously, I'm on the side of like, I'm like, this is like the best hour of Star Wars for me in like a long time, truly. And this season has really just been phenomenal, and I really have just been impressed with it. But what was your favorite part of the episode?
My favorite. So I got to pick two moments.
Okay.
One, the Dark Trooper theme was fantastic. Great theme. And then my second favorite moment was him. As Mando taking his helmet off.
We finally did it. We have the same favorite moment.
To see the child, but now I want to know why they had him do an episode prior.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an impactful moment here. I feel like we talked about this a little bit last week, because he puts it on he takes it off for the computer that just needs to scan a face. So it really serves no narrative purpose at the time other than maybe it's easing him into it, and he realizes, I guess, going back to that conversation in the previous episode, like, what are you willing to do when the times get tough, and like, what lines are you willing to cross, like, what are you willing to do to get back, like, to make your way in the galaxy. So he learns has to take it off, and then he ends up doing it here. So I wish it had been in an earlier episode, not the penultimate, because I think the two face removals back to back. I think you actually said that also. Like, you said that last episode should have been like episode like 3 or 4. That would have been much better. But yeah, having that moment, and then after it was over, I saw on Twitter that someone just posted that image along with the caption, "Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes," from Return of the Jedi and the Vader line. And it's so nice. I know I've been a stan about Dad Mando the whole season, but I really loved it, and I'm glad that we finally, in the finale, we had the favorite, our shared favorite moment.
Yeah.
What shocked you about this episode?
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot. I think my biggest shock was R2.
Really? Okay.
And I was super here for it. I mean, I don't actually know if I've ever said this on the show or not, but I think R2 has like always been like one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Okay. And as much, a Jedi coming in, not that surprising. Luke coming in, pretty damn surprising. But then even just like R2 shows up too, it's just like, oh, like that's Yeah. So that was pretty surprising. And I was also really surprised too. I think they managed to make the Dark Troopers cool, and
It was much better.
it was much better. And so the thing that surprised me about it though was that I feel like normally when a show tries really hard to make something cool, it doesn't work. And I like as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, you're just trying to manipulate me to like these Dark Troopers. And then I was like, but it's actually working. Like, yeah, they pulled some stuff off.
They really did. The fights were we'll go through the whole episode later when we do in and outs. But like I agree with you. I think the Dark Troopers were cool, but I loved R2. I got so many text messages from people being like R2D2, and I'm like, yes, love it. I'm here for it, 100%. But I mean, when they said, an X-wing is on the horizon, my initial thought, I don't know about you, but I will say my initial thought was like, oh, it's the New Republic is coming. So it's not like I didn't make the connection until, and I'm interested to know when you knew. But when someone follows the lineup like, oh, geez, only one X-wing, and I'm like, oh, it's Red 5. When did you know that it was Luke?
I mean, I don't think I actually knew for sure until he took his hood off.
Okay.
So because I was like, okay, at first when the X-wing first came in, I was like, oh, where did Ahsoka get an X-wing? I was like, that's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's using the green lightsaber, and I'm like, it can't be Luke. And so I'm like, okay, who else have we seen?
Ezra has a green lightsaber.
Oh shit, I didn't even think of Ezra. And I was like, okay, who else have we seen that has a green lightsaber? But then he's got his robot hand, and I was but there was still, until he took the hood off, I wasn't convinced.
You're like this could be a big bait and switch.
Yeah, this could be, and here we have Luke Skywalker. Yeah.
Done in the same facial reconstruction uncanny valley as Princess Leia in Rogue One, Tarkin in Rogue One, and then also previously Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia in Rise of Skywalker in that flashback scene. I guess we can just talk. Do you think it? What did you think about them not casting it? And do you think it looked okay? I thought it looked good, honestly. I've watched it twice. I had no problems with the way it looked.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of people commenting on that. I'll admit, like when I first watched Rogue One, I couldn't tell with Tarkin.
Okay. Tarkin was the one out of those four that really got me the most, I think.
Yeah. And so, but even with this, it's like something's kind of slightly off, but I thought they managed to do it pretty well. And yeah, I thought it was, was perfectly fine for them to do it in the way that they ended up doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather see that than them recast him.
Yeah. I think much like our Ahsoka conversation, if you cast Luke, it means Luke is in the show. If you do this, I think we will never see Luke Skywalker again in The Mandalorian. Like, if they have plans for him in another show, then possibly we see this, but I think this was a one and done scene for Luke. And
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Because ultimately, and we can get to this later, but ultimately I just think, and I'll say this, backing up a little bit, I am a huge hypocrite because I said that this is the last thing that I wanted. I have been saying that all season. I don't want more connections. I don't want the Mandalorian to be force dependent, and I definitely don't want someone like Luke Skywalker. Like, this is my last shark.
Yep.
That was
the first thing I was going to ask, is if the show's jumped the shark yet.
And I watched it, and my initial thought, like when the X-Wing came, and they're like, it's only one X-Wing, I just kept saying to myself, oh my God. Like I was 7 years old again. And then he cuts through the Dark Troopers, and he comes in, and the line, I'm a sucker for this line. It's one of my favorite moments in Star Wars from Return of the Jedi, when Luke throws his lightsaber away and says, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, because Mando asks Luke, are you a Jedi? And Luke just responds, I am. And I'm losing it. And it's emotional for Mando and Grogu. And it was just like all at once. I'm just like, this is the best thing ever. I can't not love this. I know I said, so I will admit that I was 100% wrong, because the way it was handled was so nice. I don't think it's consequential to the show, to what the show is trying to say. I think it makes sense, and I was just here for it. So I will say that I was wrong all season. I will say that my rants about please don't make this show Force dependent, Skywalker dependent, he was there, and I loved every second of it. What didn't you like about this episode? Let's get into some of your nitpicks.
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, one of the things, and we've talked about this over the last few episodes. I am just not. So they're kidnapping the doctor, and they're still, 3 episodes later, still trying to do this moral equivalence between the Death Star and Alderaan, and I was just like, no, those aren't. And like part of me really likes it, because I don't know if you've ever seen Clerks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that's one of like the classic jokes is like, oh, like what about all the people on the Death Star who are independent contractors? And like I like that Star Wars has gotten to a place where they can like ask those questions now. But you can't convince me that I should feel just as bad for an Imperial soldier who had friends on the Death Star as I should feel for someone who had family on Alderaan.
Right.
Like, you're not gonna sell that, and they keep trying to sell that.
I don't know why Disney is taking such a line on that. Probably because, and I saw this conversation also floating around, because the fact that the Dark Troopers were very clearly said like they're robots, or they're droids, I should say. So it's okay that Luke is absolutely demolishing them. And I think Disney Star Wars is really trying to push the fact that like we're still gonna have action, we're still gonna have lightsabers, but like it's gonna be okay. Like these are the good guys.
Yeah.
And so I think they're trying to make that a more palatable argument.
Well, and I think I saw one of the takes that I saw that I think actually made the most sense to me was someone was saying how it's the same reason in the Clone Wars show that the Jedi's fighting a whole bunch of clones, or the clones are fighting a whole bunch of droids, is because you can cut a droid in half with a lightsaber, and it's not bloody, it's not graphic.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that with a stormtrooper.
No.
Because it doesn't make logical sense. And so it's the same thing with this. Like, yeah, that was one of the other things. Like, I don't like the idea of making the Dark Troopers droids. I think that's dumb. But like, I can see why they're like. Otherwise, Luke doesn't get a cool intro scene.
Exactly. And it's almost like the Dark Troopers literally served that exact purpose, because back when we watched the episode The Siege, which the Dr. Pershing, the Kaminoan cloning doctor, was talking about, was making the clones, and we're like, oh, is this a Palpatine thing? Are the Dark Troopers, were teased at the end of that episode? I'm like, oh, are these Force-sensitive, Beskar-plated troopers? And the answer is no. They were literally just something cool for Luke Skywalker to destroy. So yeah, the conversation on the shuttle in the beginning with the Imperials, the Death Star conversation, Luke blowing up the Death Star is like always one that like I can see people getting into the argument. And like if you want to take the Empire's point of view, like I need a show or a movie that like literally takes the Empire's point of view, and then we can have the conversation. But you're exactly right. Like you can't say that the Alderaan and the Death Star are the same. But what else did you have for that you didn't like about the episode?
Yeah. So her gun jamming, super dumb.
Yeah, terrible.
Like what are they like? What
was that?
Like what are they even doing at that point? And so some of this stuff, as I'm looking through my notes, some of this stuff is stuff the episode ended up fixing. Like when M.A.N.D.O ejects the Dark Troopers, And I was like, oh my god! I was like, we've built them up for a season, and now they're just gonna fly away. I was like, there's no way. But they end up covering up that. I did think though that the fight with between him and Moff wasn't quite as good as I wanted it to be. It was a little short, and I think some of it is also just it coming after his fight with the Dark Trooper, which was fantastic.
Yes.
He then has kind of like we've been hyping up. Can he handle Moff Gideon? Like, what's it going to be like when he's up against someone who really knows his stuff? And it just was nowhere near as impactful as a 2-season lead up where the big bad should be.
I agree, and I know I've hinted at this before, but like this is one of the things in this episode that plays into my theory about the entire show. And I have a very specific thought about that, and my thought just giving out right now is that this is just round 1 of this fight. So it didn't need to be at a 10 out of 10, because I agree with you. It was pretty underwhelming. There are things I like when the Darksaber was heating up the Beskar spear a little bit. I was like, that's cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, I did think Din versus the single Dark Trooper was a much better fight. But I think this is purposeful. I think Favreau and Filoni really know what they're doing, and that was a purposeful, like, little bit of a letdown. You also have to ride the episode. You have to let you down a little bit, because then you have to go all the way to a 20 with Luke. So,
and I mean, and so I think it being Luke works. I don't particularly like the Jedi being used as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
But I don't like. It showed how overpowered the Jedi are, and I thought that it like within that frame of sense, like it's. And I think you're exactly right. I don't think we see Luke again in the show ever. And it played into the idea we've talked about before about Mando being a side character. Luke flies in, kicks some ass, and then leaves. And you can't have that happen every episode of the show, or it doesn't work.
No.
But so there's still they're walking a fine line there. But I think my two biggest things are the weird Outer Wand explanation of the passing of the Darksaber.
Okay, I have that later for In and Out, but let's talk about it now. Why is that?
That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. Like, oh, it's only the story that has power. Well, that's true. So lie about the fucking story. It doesn't matter. Like, no. That was very bad.
And it's like we literally, the last time we saw it was in Rebels, and Sabine just hands it to Bo-Katan, and she's like, "Great, thanks."
Yep. No. So I'm out for that, and I know this is gonna be unpopular, but the end credit scene, I'm also not a fan of.
Oh God, that's. I love. Okay, I texted you this when it happened, because we go to Jabba's palace, and my heart rate was already at 1 billion. When I see Jabba's palace, I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. I've been waiting for this my whole life. It's gonna happen. We go in, and we're in Jabba's court, and we're panning around. There's a Gamorrean guard, and Bib Fortuna, or as Twitter has so lovingly started calling him, Bib Fat Tuna.
Yep.
Now, great, is on the dais. He's on Jabba's throne, and I'm like, this is it. Finally, the revolution is going to begin.
So close.
I was so close, and no. Instead, Boba shoots Bib Fortuna, rest in peace, and he and Fennec sit on the throne and reveal, I guess, the 11th Disney Plus show, The Book of Boba Fett, coming Christmas of 2021. Okay, I love this, and I'm so excited for that.
But so let's back up, because I've seen a lot of discussion about this.
Yeah.
Is that its own show, or is that what season 3 of The Mandalorian is?
So I thought that also, and the only thing I've seen to clean that up is a source inside Lucasfilm saying that they're separate projects.
Okay.
And I don't know. That's, again, that's Twitter saying who knows what. I wouldn't be surprised, though, honestly, if they are separate things, but we don't get Mando season 3 until 2022 then. So instead, we get Book of Boba Fett as like a Mandalorian story. I did also get someone also tweeted, again, it's Twitter confirmation. They're saying that Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, Mando, and the Book of Boba Fett are all going to be the Filoni and Favreau shows, and that the other 7 are going to be run by different people. But those 4, because those are all Mandalorian timeline.
Oh, Mandalorian timeline
are going to be run by Filoni and Favreau. So that makes me think that they are separate projects, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, this is just a season of Mando, and then we'll get back to Mando later on. But I'm super here for. I love Jabba's palace. Like, I love Return of the Jedi so much. I don't know if we've talked about that. I love Return of the Jedi so much. One of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars is all the stuff on Jabba's palace. So I am so here for just that introduction, and I really like what they've done with Boba Fett, and I am a huge Fennec stan. That's what I would say. I am like, I really like her character. She was awesome in this episode, and I'm here for her walking behind Boba Fett on the throne, just cracking open a bottle of whatever it is, Carillion ale or whatever, and just and going to town.
See, I don't think it fit. I don't think it was a good end to this season. I don't like that they set up something else instead of, so my biggest question at the end of this episode is something we've talked about a lot, which is, what does the show look like without the child?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And with the child leaving, and with 2 seasons all have built to this, what does the Mandalorian look like now? And I'm disappointed that instead of teasing that at all, they're teasing another project.
I want to get into this because I promise you I will make it work for you. I promise you I feel like I know exactly what they're doing and for what the plan is. Grogu needed to be taken off the board. And here's my thing about Luke here. I'll just add this element. It didn't matter who came and got him. It didn't matter if it was Ahsoka. It didn't matter if it was Kyle Katarn. It didn't matter if it was Cal Kestis, Mace Windu. Like, it absolutely, to the larger story I think that they are telling, it doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters is getting Grogu off the board for right now. It's not a for everything. So if it doesn't matter, if that is the goal, get Grogu out of the show for right now and have Mando and Grogu have their little split, then who cares? So yeah, why not make it Luke Skywalker? Because it's awesome, and who cares? It doesn't matter. So why would we introduce another character that people are going to have to talk about? Like, does this mean we're going to get Luke Skywalker in Mando season 3? They're like, no, here you go. Here he is. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You're never going to see him again. We gave you 10, whatever it is, 2 minutes of awesome action. The point, I think, if I'm right about all of this, is get Grogu off the board. The show as a whole is going to be an identity show. It's about who the Mandalorian is. I think that is what it's going to be about. And I'm gonna save the rest, but that's my thought about that. I'm just going to jump quickly into the thing I didn't like about the episode. I think we needed a better reunion scene when Mando saves Grogu. Like, there wasn't really a moment there. And this is now the 3rd or 4th time I've had this complaint about they needed better, smaller moments with the 2 of them. Now, you got a 10 out of 10 at the end when he takes off his helmet. But I just think there needed to be like a, hey, buddy, like, I'm going to get you out of here. Or like, nice to see you or something. Like, they needed something and there was nothing. It didn't build to the end. So I really did not care for that. What are some things that you just overall liked about the episode?
There are a couple things I'm going to pick out here. first, one of the things that I thought was really cool, which I hadn't picked up on them doing the rest of the season, and they may have, is I really liked the Star Wars universe like phrases. It was, I don't remember the one Boba used, but it was the Star Wars equivalent of like the pot calling the kettle black.
Oh yeah, it was nice.
Like that was really cool. And then later on, she used one like this like stinks more than like a scud pie or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like whoever, I was like, these are really like, they're really small universe building things that like I'm 100% here for. The other thing, and this is something that I have complained about the whole season, is I think this episode I think was the sleekest setup we've had. Maybe definitely this season, maybe in the entire show. It made sense why everyone was here. It made sense why we had to go from A to B. It wasn't like, oh, we just need to go somewhere to have someone tell us a story, to do something, to find a thing. Like they finally got the plotting down. And it's something, and so I wanted to point it out because it's something I've been harping on the show for the entire season. And then I really, really liked, I've mentioned this a few times too, but I like anytime we see like small detail moments of the Empire. So I really liked seeing the hangar stuff with the ties when they
like shot out.
Yeah, when they shot out and they were like getting into the tie, and like it was almost like it wasn't quite Empire point of view, but it was something I feel like we normally wouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
So that
really like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would say mine, I picked one, and I know we talked about it's dumb that the Darksaber has like, you have to defeat someone, like they're adding a rule to it that didn't previously exist. But what I did like though is the tension between Bo-Katan and Mando, because Bo-Katan, remember, for anybody that's unfamiliar with the shows, is not like 100% a hero character.
No.
So I really enjoyed that, and I wonder if that's maybe why they instated this rule to be like, oh shit, like now she can't just take it, like, because if he just hands it to her and she's like, thanks, Mando, and then they're friends. But if they add this complication and then we have to set them at odds, which again I think is going to be what season 3 is about. So I really liked that.
You don't think Mando's gonna go take the throne?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
Intriguing.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm keeping it there for right now. But that's actually talking about that was my like keep a pin in that for future things. Is like there's no doubt in my mind that Mando is going to retake Mandalore, whether with the help of Bo-Katan or in spite of her. Is there anything that you saw that you wanted to keep track of? I know it's the end of the season, so I think most everything wrapped up, but
everything for this show wrapped up very well. But I do want to point out, and this is actually one of the memes we've been sending back and forth over the season. One of the things I need in Star Wars now is Luke meeting Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They need to meet. They need to talk about Vader. That is, like, it has to happen. They cannot bring Luke in and have that not happen now. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, would you rather it in the Ahsoka show, or would you rather it in something else?
Don't care. Doesn't matter what happens.
Just needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you though.
I think it would make the most sense in the Ahsoka show, because I think that, that fully completes her arc in some ways. She goes from being his Padawan to leaving him to, I mean, they parted on good terms, in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
To then fighting him as Vader, to then, I mean, we don't know what she does, during a New Hope era and all that. But to then talking to Luke, because I mean, Luke and Leia are really the only ones who know that Vader is redeemed.
Yes.
To then learning from Luke that, there was ultimately, a good side to Anakin. Yeah.
I would almost love that to be the first scene of the Ahsoka show.
Oh fuck.
Like maybe you have a cold open where she does something cool, but then like or maybe that is just it's a prologue to the story, and it's just her and Luke having a chat at one of the Jedi temples about Anakin Skywalker. And I think you sent me that one cartoon of basically being like Luke tells her that he came back, and she starts like getting emotional. I'm like, if that was on screen, I don't know if I'd be able to emotionally handle it.
Yeah, well, so that's one big thing, and another big thing. So this is something I can't take credit for this. This was something I think I saw on Twitter a few weeks ago, actually, and they were talking about how, Filoni really fixed the prequels with a lot of the work he did in the Clone Wars show. And they're saying, and now Disney is looking for him to fix the sequels. And so that was their thesis. And their thesis was saying, well, one of the problems with the sequels is you never really hate Kylo Ren.
Correct.
And they're like, but essentially we are now learning that Kylo Ren probably kills Baby Yoda.
Yeah. And I saw that going around.
And there's no way to make people hate Kylo Ren more than if Baby Yoda died at his hands. So
yeah, goodness, if that ever like happens, I think there'd be a riot in the street, and I don't think that would solve anything. But I did see that, and like that is the logical jump. It's like, oh my god, does Ben Solo like murder poor Grogu? So interesting. I just yeah. Now, before we get to In-N-Out, I do have a question for you on this topic.
Okay.
Regardless of whether or not he ends up at the hands of Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, when do you think we'll see Grogu again in The Mandalorian?
I don't think we'll see him again in The Mandalorian.
Okay. Think he's out?
I think he's out. I think that I stick by my prediction earlier. I think Mandalorian will be a 3-season show. And my best guess is like I do think he sticks with Bo-Katan. I think they do something with the retaking of Mandalore. And I think that's probably where this story wraps up.
I think we're going to see Grogu again end of season 3 or mid season 4, and I'm going to put my money on that season 4 will be the final season.
Okay, so you think we got 2 more. Okay. And
I do think we will see Grogu again, and that he will be part of the show again.
Okay.
So that's my guess. We'll keep track of that, but I also wouldn't be surprised if your prediction came true and that we just don't see him again, and maybe Disney launches a Grogu miniseries.
I mean, I want to say that I do think that there's like a 50% chance that Book of Boba is season 3 of The Mandalorian, and that it shifts the focus more towards Boba than Mando.
That would be crazy, because I mean that's what kind of the big speculation was when the show started. Was like, is this a Boba Fett show? Like, when's Boba Fett going to be? Like, that was a huge question. Yep. So that's an interesting thought. I wonder.
Like, I'm not convinced that they do it, but I don't want to take that off the board.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think you have to, because I think you mentioned earlier, and rightfully so, in one of our episodes, where that Disney probably didn't predict the huge marketing success of Grogu.
I don't think so at all. No.
So, and I think that our 2 points of view on that align in my theory. So we'll keep track of that also. But let's quickly do our in and outs. I'm gonna go down, and you tell me through the episode, and you tell me if you're in and out. The Imperial shuttle raid. the beginning conversation that we talked about, Alderaan Death Star out.
Out. And I didn't think they really needed to go get the doctor actually either, but
I don't know why that scene was in there.
Yeah.
So I was out also. The Mandalorian starfighter in the wide shot before they go see Bo-Katan, which is very popular in the Clone Wars show. It was a quick shot.
I think I missed it. Yeah.
I'm in because it's awesome. And I thought it was Darth Maul's, but then I remember that Darth Maul stole it from them. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yo, Maul. I mean, Maul's still on the table, too. Oh, no. He's dead at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is dead, but like, this is like the third time he's come back, so I wouldn't be surprised. The Boba and Koska bar fight, and Bo specifically calling him a clone and just being a dick to him.
No, I'm super in. Like, I liked it.
I'm gonna be in and out. I like the conversation. I like shading Bo as not 100% great. I thought the fight was a little weak, but
I don't know. But them both pulling their flamethrowers on each other at the same
that was
time
cool.
Is pretty cool. And I mean, and I think like this is. Yeah, and it's I liked her looking down on him as as a clone and and all that. So yeah, I'm here for that.
And I like Mando's. They cut away to Mando's like helmetless reaction, but he was clearly like trying to clock that. Like, what's Bo-Katan up to?
Yeah.
All right, now we're on the ship, and we have Cara, Fennec, Bo, and Koska running down the landing platform, just kicking all sorts of ass.
Absolutely amazing.
I loved it. I thought this was I mean, not that it's an equivalency, but I thought this was way better than that scene in Endgame where all of the female superheroes like wink, wink at the camera. Like, I thought this actually was organic and authentic to the characters in the story. I didn't feel like they were just like assembling a Star Wars girl squad to do that. And like I said, I'm a huge, like, I don't know why, but like the past 3 or 4 episodes, like Fennec, I'm just like, I'm so in on Fennec. Like, I'm in on her look. I'm in on like the fact that she's just kind of over it, and I just like her whole demeanor. So I was really into this. I even liked Cara for the most part. And Koska's cool, and Bo's always awesome.
Yeah.
Din versus the single Dark Trooper.
Probably. Might have been the best fight of the episode. It's close between him and Luke fighting all of them.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I don't know. There was something about the way I just loved how, and they did this a couple of times, how the Dark Troopers would just repeatedly punch the same spot over and over, and there's something very like mechanical about that. That just really makes it, and like especially like when he's bashing his head and he's just like, no, I'm just gonna keep hitting you in the head until you fucking die. There's some pretty cool stuff there. But also, I mean, the thing, I've said this all along, I love when Mando loses, and I mean he eventually won, but he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, he did.
And now I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this really makes Luke's entrance even more of a thing, because it's like, oh, Mando could barely take on one by himself, and a Jedi's just going to come in and take out like 15.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Just to absolutely destroy them. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's the best fight of the episode. So I'm super in on that. Din versus Gideon.
I'm out.
Yeah, out. Didn't like it.
I waited too long, and it didn't fulfill my needs. No.
I know, like I said, I have a theory about why it was the way it was, but I still I feel like it could have been handled slightly differently.
Yeah.
Din wielding the Darksaber. I'm in. I thought it was cool. I think it plays, and I liked the look of him wielding it. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm actually gonna go out on it just because I don't like non-Mandalorians using the Darksaber.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna take Bo's side on this. I don't think Bo was happy, and I'm not gonna be happy about it either. So.
But what truly is a Mandalorian? The fact that you can't just the fact that the Darksaber now has rules associated to who can wield it.
Dumb.
So yeah, out.
It's the Elder Wand from Harry Potter. Like,
yeah.
Dumb.
The tension between Bo and Din.
Totally here for it.
Yeah, and love it.
And anytime we can do something where the quote unquote heroes don't all get along, like, I'm super here for.
Yeah, give me a quick event or Captain America Civil War episode between
exactly
factions. The Dark Troopers taking over the bridge and, like you said, repeatedly punching the wall.
Love it.
Star Wars is always at a 10 when someone is trying to get through a door. So I'm thinking of Qui-Gon and Phantom Menace just melting the one door, which I still think is awesome. A lone X-Wing appears. I'm very in.
Yeah.
I loved it because that's when I knew. And
I was just going through like all these other possibilities because I was convinced it wouldn't be Luke.
As was I. I would have bet any amount of money that they would never have done it. But next, Luke Skywalker.
I'm in.
Yeah, love it.
Like, I think, like, I know there's a lot of the discourse, and rightfully so, is here's Disney taking their most successful Star Wars property that was successful because it wasn't tied to the original trilogies, and here's them tying it to the original trilogies in more ways than you could possibly imagine. But it works.
It works. And like I said, it doesn't. I'm telling everybody, like, I want to just reply all to everyone. I'm like, wait for them to tell the story because I promise you this will never come up again. The reversal of the Rogue One scene. Well, not really the reversal so much as the basically copy paste of the Rogue One scene, except this is Luke and not Vader. So Luke coming up the elevator, the doors opening, and then just coming down the hallway.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sweet. Like this, like I like. This is kind of like grungy Luke.
Yeah.
And he also, I think I texted you this too. Like, he essentially force chokes someone.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's a robot, but like he's using some of his dad's powers. Like, here for it.
Yeah. Someone tweeted like, "Don't mess with Skywalkers in hallways," and I'm like, love it.
Love that. That's great.
Din lets Grogu go, but Grogu asks for his permission.
I think that's good. I'm in for that. I think that scene had to be done really, really carefully, especially because of the Bo and Mando tension. Why is Mando gonna trust Luke? He has no idea who the hell is Luke Skywalker. He has no idea. Neither does Bo, right?
No, I was thinking about that. Assumedly, Bo wouldn't know him, but Kara should know him because Kara was a rebellion shock trooper, so she should know literally the second most prominent star of the rebellion behind Leia. Like, I feel like she should know the guy who blew up the Death Star. And I also feel like, he doesn't ever say his name, I don't think he says I'm Luke Skywalker. So maybe that's it. But I feel like Kara should be like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. Like, I feel like we need to cut away and be like, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, no, and I think, so I think that moment works because I think you need a reason for Mando to trust Luke. And I think he only trusts Luke really because Grogu does.
Yeah.
And obviously they have that Force connection, so I think that'll play it very well. Yeah.
Yep. Din taking off his helmet to say goodbye to his son.
Super here for it.
Yeah, best part of the episode, best part of the season, in my opinion.
I wish this was the first time we saw him with his helmet off.
Yeah, I agree. R2D2.
Yeah.
Just strolling right in.
I'm so in. And you know what? I don't want to hate on C-3PO, but I'm kind of glad it was just R2.
Yeah, oh my God, can you imagine, like, C-3PO waddling in to say some shit. I'm glad we didn't get that either.
This isn't where I parked my car.
Exactly.
This isn't where I parked my pod racer. Like,
Master Luke, you've made quite a mess. How am I supposed to walk out? It's just like some stupid thing.
but yeah, and it's interesting too. Like R2 like talking with Grogu.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say for sure, but R2 had a bond with, well, yeah, no, he did from Dagobah. He had a bond with Yoda.
A bond so much as like the fact that Yoda was a dick to him the whole time.
Yeah, but he knew.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So there is something there. But yeah, no, I'm R2 is the hero we all really deserve. Like that's
100% agree.
Yeah.
And then finally, I know you're out on it, but Boba and Fennec, Jabba's Palace, Book of Boba Fett, 100% in.
It's just it's to me it was like, and I think this episode, walks the fan service, fan fiction line very carefully. I think it, like I said, I am being hypercritical of it, but I do still think this is top tier Star Wars. This is Star Wars the likes of which we haven't seen for a long time.
Yeah.
But to me, it almost felt kind of like the epilogue to Harry Potter, me too, where it's just like it was like this bad tacked on fan fiction at the end, where it's like, oh, well, like you like if I was writing this as a kid, it's like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if Boba comes back and then takes the throne of Jabba? But like, why does that, like, Jabba's not a king, he's just a crime lord, like.
Well, that is why I like it, because I texted someone else and I was like, I want a Boba Fett as like a organized crime show, like, so Boba Fett starts a crime ring, like, so regardless of Jabba or not. But
okay, I mean, I could see that. I mean, however, I do think it's still interesting, and we've talked about this, is now that we're actually getting some character to Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
He's played it pretty straight. He's been a good guy. He's
played it straight. And this is his first like foray into possibly not being. So I'm again here for that. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get a Boba Fett turn, but again, when the gears started turning, made more sense. But any final thoughts on this episode specifically as you leave it?
I mean, this is amazing Star Wars. This is way better than I think anyone thought The Mandalorian was going to be.
Absolutely.
I do think it leaves a lot of. I mean, I think the show is blown up kind of at this point. So I think it leaves a lot of questions of what is the show and where does the show go from here. But I mean, they nailed it. They absolutely, if the point of this episode was to be a great hour of Star Wars, to expand, what they're going to do with all these other shows and make Mandalorian fit, while also conclude Grogu and Mando's story, like they nailed all of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Pitch perfect. I'm so here for it. I know I said I didn't want it, but it was everything I didn't know that I want. Like it was what I wanted, even though I said I didn't, but it was exactly what I wanted, and they nailed it. So yeah, that is chapter 16, the final episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian. We're going to be back. We're going to grab the Jedi Council together, as we call it, and we're just going to do a whole season wrap up. So check that out. And then also my theory that I've mentioned in this episode, I'm going to talk about it and about how I'm going to plot out what I believe is the future of the show. So stay tuned for that, Willie.
I'm here for it.
What a ride this has been. So thank you for joining me, and just thanks for being here for season 2 of The Mandalorian. We did it.
Yeah, we made it. The whole season.
This was the way, and now it is over. All right, thanks, Willie.
Yes.
Yeah.